The champagne flutes chimed in perfect harmony with the laughter echoing through Caldwell and Associates' glass-walled executive suite. Evelyn Hart stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows, her simple beige dress and minimal makeup, making her nearly invisible among the designer-clad wives and girlfriends scattered throughout the celebration. Marcus, her husband of 3 years, was holding court near the bar, regaling his colleagues with stories of his latest deal. She reached into her purse for her phone when it happened, a metallic clink that seemed to reverberate across the marble floor. The black and gold badge skittered to a stop inches from Richard Caldwell's polished Italian loafers. Richard bent down, his expression shifting from curiosity to confusion as he read the inscription. Evelyn Hart, Chairwoman, Hart Invest Global, Omega Clearance. He looked up at Evelyn, then at the badge, then back at her modest appearance. A smirk twisted his lips. Where did you steal this? The room fell silent. Marcus turned, his face reddening. Security, Richard called, his voice cutting through the stillness. We have a situation. Before we continue, welcome to Brittany's Stories. This is a home of powerful, emotional, and unforgettable stories, filled with drama, secrets, unexpected twists, and life-changing moments. Each story is crafted to entertain, inspire, and keep you thinking long after the video ends. If you love shocking reveals, hidden identities, billionaire secrets, and stories that touch the heart, you're in the right place. Like our videos, if they move you, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. 2 security guards materialized within seconds, their hands hovering near their radios. Evelyn's heart pounded, but she kept her expression neutral. This was a moment she dreaded for 3 years, the collapse of the careful fiction she'd built. Ma'am, we need you to come with us, the taller guard said, reaching for her arm. Don't touch me. The words came out sharper than she intended. She pulled out her phone, scrolling to a number she'd never called in front of Marcus. Red line. Authorization Hart Evelyn 77 Alpha. The phone rang once. Chairwoman Hart. A clipped voice answered. Verification required. Please state your location. Caldwell and Associates, executive floor. I need immediate identity confirmation. Within 90 seconds, both guards' radios crackled simultaneously. They stood at attention, faces draining of color. The senior officer stepped forward. Mrs. Hart, Chairwoman, I apologize. We had no idea. Richard's smirk vanished. Marcus's champagne glass slipped from his fingers, shattering across the floor. Evelyn retrieved her badge from Richard's trembling hand. Now you know, she said quietly, looking directly at her husband. We need to talk. The drive home was suffocatingly silent. Marcus gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white, while Evelyn stared out the window at the city lights blurring past. 3 years ago, she'd walked into that coffee shop with a deliberate plan. No designer clothes, no chauffeur, no entourage. Just Evelyn, in jeans and a simple sweater, ordering a latte. Marcus had been there, charming and ambitious, complaining about his demanding boss. They'd talked for hours. She'd fallen for his laugh, his dreams of making partner, his apparent disdain for corporate nepotism. I want to earn everything myself, he'd said. It had seemed like fate, a man who valued hard work over inherited wealth. So she'd become Evelyn the freelance consultant, living in a modest apartment, driving a 10-year-old sedan. Her family's lawyers had drafted an ironclad prenup disguised as standard paperwork. Marcus had signed without reading, too excited about their courthouse wedding. But tonight, as they pulled into their driveway, Evelyn noticed something she'd been too love-drunk to see before. Marcus wasn't shocked by her wealth. He looked angry, like she'd stolen something from him. How long were you planning to lie? He spat. Lie. Evelyn's voice was ice. I gave you 3 years to love me for who I am, Marcus, not what I have. Right. Poor little rich girl, testing the peasants. Marcus threw his keys on the counter. Do you have any idea how humiliated I am? My boss now knows my wife could buy and sell his entire company. That bothers you? Not that Richard accused me of being a thief. Marcus's jaw clenched. I need air. He grabbed his phone and headed for the garage. Evelyn waited exactly 4 minutes before walking to his home office. His laptop sat open, password saved. Her hands shook as she navigated to his company sync phone records, access she quietly arranged months ago when his late-night client calls became too frequent. The records loaded. Her stomach dropped. Clara Caldwell, Richard's daughter. Hundreds of texts over 6 months. Dinner reservations at restaurants Evelyn and Marcus could never afford on a salary. Hotel charges. Her credit card paying for all of it. One text thread made her blood freeze. Once I make partner, I'm done with her. Dad promised me the promotion if I keep Evelyn happy until the Hard Invest deal closes. Then we're free. Evelyn screenshot everything, emailing it to her encrypted personal server. Monday morning, Evelyn sat across from Patricia Chun, her cousin and Hard Invest chief legal officer, in a soundproof conference room 3 states away from Marcus's office. "You're certain?" Patricia asked, sliding a folder across the mahogany table. "Absolutely certain." Evelyn's voice was steady now, the shock replaced by cold calculation. "I need a full forensic audit of Caldwell and Associates, specifically Marcus Hart's department." Quietly, Patricia nodded, making notes. "The board will approve it. We have enough shares in their parent company. What are we looking for? Financial irregularities, conflicts of interest, anything that proves he's been using his position and my money inappropriately." The audit took 4 days. The results arrived in a crimson folder marked confidential. Marcus had been siphoning funds meant for client investments into a separate account. The money funded a luxury apartment in the city, lease signed by Clara Caldwell. Payments from Marcus's consulting fees that didn't exist. He'd embezzled nearly $400,000 over 18 months. "We have him," Patricia said. And Richard knew. Email evidence shows Richard approved several questionable transfers. Evelyn smiled for the first time in a week. "Perfect. Now we wait." Evelyn returned home that evening with takeout from Marcus's favorite restaurant, her expression carefully arranged into concerned affection. "Hey," she said softly as Marcus emerged from his office. "I've been thinking about everything. The party, the badge. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner." Marcus's shoulders relaxed. "Eve, I overreacted. This is just a lot to process." "I know." She set down the food, moving closer. "But I want you to know nothing changes between us. My money is our money. Your career is what matters." The lie tasted like ash, but Marcus's eyes lit up with something she now recognized: greed. For the next week, Evelyn played her role perfectly. She asked about his day, laughed at his jokes, even suggested they start looking at bigger houses. Marcus became attentive again, affectionate, already spending money in his mind. She watched him take calls from Clara in their bedroom, whispering promises. She smiled when he mentioned his upcoming promotion, the one Richard had apparently guaranteed. Meanwhile, her legal team moved chess pieces across the board. Asset freezes, account separations, quiet calls to board members. Marcus had no idea the trap was closing. Saturday afternoon, Evelyn met Jerome Castellano, her family's attorney for 30 years, at his private office. "The marital assets," Jerome began, sliding documents across his desk, "are predominantly from Hart Family Trust established before your marriage. The prenuptial agreement, which Marcus signed, clearly states that in the event of infidelity or financial malfeasance, all assets revert to you exclusively. And the evidence? Overwhelming. The apartment lease, the embezzlement, the communications with Clara Caldwell. We also have testimony from a private investigator who documented 17 separate meetings between Marcus and Clara at the apartment." Jerome's expression was grim. "Evelyn, he's been planning this for months." The affair started shortly after Richard learned about a potential Hard Invest acquisition of their parent company. Evelyn's hands clenched. "They were using me." "Yes, but now we use the law." Jerome opened another folder. "I prepared motions to freeze all joint accounts, revoke his access to your credit cards, and file for an immediate restraining order on marital property. The moment you sign, Marcus will have access to nothing." "What about his job?" Jerome smiled coldly. "That's your next meeting." 20 minutes later, Evelyn sat in her chairwoman's office. the one Marcus never knew existed, preparing for war. The following Thursday, Marcus straightened his tie outside the Caldwell and Associates' main boardroom, grinning like a man who'd already won. Richard had called this emergency meeting with the parent company's executives, hinting broadly that Marcus's promotion to senior partner was imminent. "Big day," Richard murmured, clapping Marcus's shoulder. "The Hart Invest people are even sending someone. Make a good impression." Marcus walked in to find 15 executives seated around a black lacquered table, and at the head, in a charcoal suit that cost more than his car, sat Evelyn. "Good morning, Mr. Hart," she said, her voice echoing in the stunned silence. "Please sit down." Marcus froze. "Eve, what?" "It's Chairwoman Hart in this context." She opened a folder. "Gentlemen, we're here to discuss financial irregularities in the investment management division." Her eyes locked on Richard. "Mr. Caldwell, can you explain why you approved $400,000 in transfers to non-existent client accounts?" Richard's face went ashen. "And Mr. Hart, perhaps you can explain the luxury apartment at 1500 Park Avenue, the one leased by Mr. Caldwell's daughter, funded by embezzled client money." Marcus's world collapsed in that moment, his promotion dissolving like smoke. "You're both terminated. Security will escort you out." One Marcus never knew existed, preparing for war. The security guards who'd nearly arrested Evelyn the week before now stood behind Marcus and Richard, their expressions carefully neutral. Marcus finally found his voice. "You can't do this. I'm your husband." "Actually," Evelyn said, sliding divorce papers across the table, "you're my defendant. You've been served. And before you consider contesting anything, you should know that the prenuptial agreement you signed, the one you never read, has a morality clause. Infidelity forfeits all claims to marital assets." "This is insane." Marcus lunged toward her, but security intercepted him. "You crazy?" "I'm not crazy. I'm just significantly richer and smarter than you." Evelyn stood, gathering her files. "You have 30 days to vacate the house. Your accounts are frozen. Your professional licenses are under review for embezzlement. And Clara?" She smiled coldly. "She's been informed that you're broke. She stopped answering your calls this morning." Marcus crumpled. "Eve, please. I love you. We can work this out. You love my money. You never loved me." She walked toward the door, pausing. "You want to know how long I plan to lie? I plan to love you forever. You chose differently." The door closed behind her. 5 years later, Evelyn stood on the stage of the Global Women's Leadership Summit, her Omega-class badge catching the spotlight. No more hiding. No more testing. No more playing small. "The Hart Foundation has invested $200 million in female-led startups this year," she told the audience of thousands. "Because I learned that hiding your power doesn't protect you. It only makes you vulnerable." The applause was deafening. Backstage, a man waited with her coat, David, a university professor who'd walked up to her at a charity gala a year ago and said, "I know exactly who you are. Want to grab coffee anyway." He wasn't intimidated by her badge or her billions. He brought her research papers to read and laughed when she corrected his investment strategies. "Ready to go home, Chairwoman?" he asked, smiling. She took his hand. "Just Evelyn tonight." "No," he said, kissing her forehead. "You're always both. That's why I love you." Marcus, she'd heard through lawyers, was working at a call center in Phoenix, still paying off legal fees. Richard lost his firm. Clara married a hedge fund manager. Evelyn had won by refusing to hide anymore. And that made all the difference. Evelyn's story reminds us that sometimes the masks we wear to protect ourselves become the very chains that bind us. She spent 3 years hiding her power, testing Marcus's love, only to discover that authenticity can't be built on deception, no matter how well-intentioned. But here's the real question. Was Evelyn wrong to hide her identity in the first place? Some might argue she set the relationship up for failure by starting with a lie. Others might say Marcus revealed his true character. He would have used her either way. The truth? Evelyn's transformation wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming the parts of herself she'd been taught to diminish. Her badge didn't just represent wealth and power. It represented her right to exist fully, without apology. Let's talk about it. Now I want to hear from you. Thinking face, do you think Evelyn was justified in hiding her identity for 3 years? Or should she have been upfront from the beginning? Broken heart, was Marcus always a user? Or did Evelyn's deception push him toward Clara? Could honesty have saved their marriage? Flex biceps, what would you have done in Evelyn's position? Immediate confrontation or the calculated takedown? Fire, and the big question, did Evelyn go too far with her revenge? Or did Marcus get exactly what he deserved? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love reading your perspectives. And some of you have the wildest takes that I never even considered. Join Brittany's Stories family. If you made it this far, you're clearly invested in stories about powerful women, poetic justice, and the sweet taste of karma. And trust me, I've got plenty more where this came from. Backhand index pointing right, like this video if you were satisfied with how Evelyn handled Marcus and Richard. That boardroom scene? Chef's kiss. Backhand index pointing right, subscribe to Brittany's Stories for more tales of hidden identities, shocking revelations, and people getting exactly what they deserve. We post new stories every week that will have you gasping, cheering, and texting your friends. Backhand index pointing right, turn on notifications, tap that bell, so you never miss when karma comes knocking at someone's door. Coming up next. Next week, I'm bringing you a story about a broke artist whose gallery owner husband has been selling her paintings for millions while giving her an allowance. Let's just say she finds out in the most spectacular way possible. You won't want to miss it. Until then, remember, never underestimate the quiet ones. They might just be wearing a badge you can't see. This is Brittany, reminding you that your power is not something to hide. It's something to own. See you in the next story. Gemstone Sparkles.